Okay, let's dive into this mind-bending look at energy and matter. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to take one of the most famous scientific concepts in human history and look at it through a completely different, intensely practical lens. We hear the word manifestation thrown around a lot these days, usually when people are talking about wishing for things or purely positive thinking. But what if bringing an idea into physical reality wasn't magic at all? What if it was a literal, observable process grounded in standard physics? Today, we're relocating Albert Einstein's absolute masterpiece. We're taking it right out of the textbook and bringing it straight into your daily life.
It's an equation you've seen literally everywhere, on chalkboards, on t-shirts, in movies. But do you know the literal secret behind reality's most famous equation? Most of us just memorize the letters, right? We rarely stop to comprehend what this famous math actually means for our own ability to create physical reality. We're going to break down the actual mechanics of how abstract thoughts become solid, tangible things you can actually touch and measure.
E equals mc squared. There it is. In standard physics, Einstein's legendary formula tells us that energy, the E, equals mass, the m, multiplied by the speed of light squared. But here is the profound, mind-blowing reality hidden inside those simple characters. Energy and matter? They aren't two different things. They aren't separate categories in the universe. They are literally the exact same substance. Matter is simply energy vibrating at a different frequency. And once we really grasp this, the way we look at the entire physical world completely shifts.
Section 1. The Ultimate Reality Blueprint. To really get this blueprint, we need to step back and look at the macro scale of the universe, setting the stage to explore how light and time are permanently bound together.
Section 2. The light speed boundary. Here, we're going to look at the absolute speed limit of the universe and how it totally dictates the flow of time.
And that brings us to the letter C in Einstein's equation, 186,282. That is the speed of light in miles per second. Just let that sink in for a second. Miles per second. It's a massive, almost incomprehensible velocity. In the laws of relativity, this isn't just a fast speed. It's the absolute ceiling of the universe. Nothing physical can go faster. But what actually happens when you hit that limit?
Well, if an entity, like a photon of light, travels exactly at that speed, linear time completely stops. To a photon, there is no past, there is no future. It exists in this permanent, timeless state. Now, let's flip to the other side, the high-frequency parallel happening right inside the human brain. Neurologically speaking, when your brain experiences hyper-fast, high-frequency bursts, like those lambda waves firing well over 100 Hz, your brain's information processing actually approaches its own biological speed limit.
What's really fascinating here is how your brain's massive internal processing speed actually collapses your sense of clock time. As your internal velocity approaches its maximum during these high-frequency states, your perception of external linear time literally collapses. It causes massive time dilation. Have you ever been in a deep flow state or maybe had this sudden creative breakthrough and you just lost all track of time? A few seconds might feel like hours, or hours fly by in what feels like minutes. Your internal speed is so high that standard clock time simply stops registering. You're basically experiencing a microversion of what that timeless photon experiences.
Section 3. Reversing Einstein's formula. This is the climax of our explainer, where we totally flip the famous paradigm to understand how physical things are actually formed.
So, what happens if we mathematically flip this? M equals E divided by C squared. By solving for mass, we reveal a profoundly physical truth. Mass is simply energy that has been slowed down, compressed, and localized. When you take abstract high-velocity energy and you force it into a confined space, delaying it, dragging it down, it becomes matter. It literally becomes a thing.
Let's look at how this plays out at the smallest possible levels. Subatomic particles, like quarks and electrons, actually acquire their physical structure and mass through interactions with fields in the universe, like the famous Higgs field. Think of these fields like thick molasses. They slow the particles down. If you trap energy in a localized space and force it to vibrate back and forth below the speed of light, that energy suddenly exhibits weight. It gains density. It develops inertia. It literally becomes a solid object that you can bump into.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. The exact millisecond that energy slows down enough to become localized mass, linear clock time is born. Why? Because clock time fundamentally cannot exist without mass. Clock time is really just measuring a physical object traveling across a physical distance. No physical object, no mass, no clock time. Time and matter are birthed together the exact moment energy slows down.
Section 4. The Bridge to Physicality.
Let's bring the cosmos down to the microscopic, human scale to see how this bioenergetics equation mirrors your everyday life.
Let's move on and see how this builds into a literal 3-step sensory step-down. We're going straight from an abstract thought to a physical product through the energy state, the constant, and finally, the mass state.
Step 1 is the energy state. Think about the last time you had a brilliant idea, a creative concept, or an intuitive flash. In that very first moment, the idea hits you as pure, weightless information. It takes up absolutely zero space in the physical world. And, much like that photon traveling at the speed of light, your idea initially exists completely outside of linear time. It's just pure, unmanifested potential energy.
Step 2 is the constant. To bring that weightless energy down into the physical world, your body acts as a literal transformer. Your brain and heart must align. By stabilizing your internal electrical frequencies, getting your brain waves and heartbeat into a calm, coherent rhythm, you create a structured geometric grid. This grid is absolutely critical because it's what safely steps down that high-velocity information, keeping it from just slipping away like a fleeting daydream.
And finally, step 3, the mass state. This is where the magic happens. And by magic, I mean physical labor. To manipulate matter, you gotta take action. You measure oils, you pour liquids, you write down a recipe in wet ink, or you physically move furniture to organize a room. By using your hands to move physical atoms through space over a period of minutes and hours, you are literally trapping that high-frequency, timeless energy from step 1 into a dense, solid form, a form that can now be experienced by the 5 senses. You've localized the energy. You've created mass.
Mass is simply light frozen into structure. Let that profound, poetic quote linger for a second. When you look at the chair you're sitting on, the phone in your hand, or anything you've built with your own hands, you are looking at light that has been slowed down, cooled, and frozen into a structured reality. It's beautifully poetic, sure, but it's also mathematically true.
To summarize this whole explainer, manifestation isn't just wishing upon a star. It is the literal, thermodynamic process of decelerating your focus until it becomes solid. You are taking high-speed, timeless, energetic potential, running it through the transformer of your own coherent nervous system, and using physical action in time and space to slow it down. It gains density. It gains weight. It's not magic, guys. It's proven physical deacceleration.
So, knowing what you now know about the true nature of energy and matter, I want to leave you with this question. What high-frequency, timeless energy will you freeze into structure today? You've got the biological machinery and the absolute laws of physics on your side to take the weightless and make it real. So, get out there and start building.